Thanks for having me. I am excited to be here. Like anybody in the room, I go to the doctor's office, right? And like anybody in the room, I experience what you do, right? Well, I have to tell you about a wonderful experience with the administrator of I had a little neck problem, so I was at the spine place that I live in Maryland at St. Joseph's Hospital. So I show up for my appointment with the PA. The young lady says, Miss Michael, they don't have you down today. I'm like, you're at 40 minutes to get there. What are we going to do? And she's looking like, I don't know what we're going to do. She says, hold on. I'm going to get somebody who can help you. So she finds a practice administrator who says, she's on the computer, and she says, we really don't have you down. I said, okay, so what are we going to do? She says, I'm going to give you free parking. I said, that's good, because parking here is $10. What else are we going to do? She says, I'm going to apologize really sincerely, and I'm going to get you the next spot. And I thought, a sincere apology and free parking? Nobody kind of pretending that they didn't make a mistake? And she saved the reputation of that practice. The work you do has profound impact. If nobody else tells you, let me be the first. It makes a difference in the physician's life. More important to me, it makes a difference in the patient's life. So if you haven't patted yourself on the back recently, can you do it now? Yeah, and then pat the person next to you on the back, because they're important too. So we're going to really explore leadership, but specifically we're going to explore how you lead. We're going to map a journey that's made just for you by you. And we're going to work on brand building, because that is so very important. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it together. I am going to be down there with you real soon, because I don't like being up here. I'm going to ask you to be fully present. So what does that mean to you when I say fully present? Anybody? Sir, right here, what does that mean to you? Pay attention. What does that mean to you? Active listening. Yeah. Where do you want to learn and grow? Yes, you're looking right at me. Oh, AI, yes. What is it going to do for and to the world? Because it's not just for the world. How about you? Where do you want to learn and grow? All right, she turned her head away. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Difficult conversations with the people that we report to. Yes. Wellness and stress management, so that you're here to learn and grow. Yeah. If you haven't spent much time going deep on values exploration, you need to. You owe it to yourself in your leadership role, but you also owe it to the people that you're leading, to know where your center is, to know what your center is, also to know what is non-negotiable for you. What are the things that are non-negotiable in terms of performance in the workplace? What are the things that are non-negotiable in terms of behavior and relationships? What are the things that are non-negotiable in terms of how the people you lead respond to you? Okay, what are your non-negotiables? The other thing that's really important about our values is our values play a role in us developing self-efficacy. So we're going to take a little quiz now. So, how do I know how much self-efficacy I have? How do I know? Well, when problems arise, do I double down and try harder? Do I double down and try harder when problems arise? Do I enlist the help that I need to try harder? Next thing, I've got a positive disposition even in negative situations. I can put things in perspective and last through some of the tough times. I can do that if I have self-efficacy. I don't just watch people getting things done and admire them from afar. I'm a getter-doner too, okay? Next one up there. And this is one I truly, truly, truly believe in. Any idiot can find a problem, but it takes a brain to find a solution, okay? Anybody can find a problem, but the trick is, can I find and collaboratively create solutions. When I have self-efficacy, I can. Next one over there is I control my motivation. It's not contingent upon the weather. It's not contingent upon the physicians in the practice. It's not contingent upon some of the crazy patients that we see. It is contingent upon me. I motivate me. I have an intrinsic source of motivation. And I control me. The second component of emotional intelligence is self-management, and that's all about self-control. Not running through the office like your hair is on fire every day. Not acting like every problem is a crisis. One of the things I really liked about the lady who gave me my $10 for parking, my free parking, and admitted the mistake, when she came out of her office, she was cool as a cucumber with a big old smile on her face. Like, we don't have a problem in the world. And that made my smile get even bigger. So what is it that I am bringing? What is it that I'm bringing that's creating my success as a leader? And can I control my behavior? Can I learn to control my behavior? Last thing is, I can because I think I can. I can because I know I can.
You.
All of these pieces of self-efficacy are tied back to what we value, what matters most to us in this world. So as you continue to grow and you continue on your leadership journey, I invite you to continue to spend time examining your values and finding ways to make those values evident in the workplace. Evident in the workplace. Let's move on just a little bit. So, going to ask you to do a little work on your strengths. We spent a little time on the areas where you want to do some changing, but now I'm going to ask you to do this. I want you to take a second and write down your top 3 leadership strengths, and don't be shy, okay? Whatever it is you're great at, and there are plenty of things that you're great at, jot them down. And then the other piece is, what's the evidence? How do you know that those are your strengths? What's the evidence? How do you know those are your strengths? So just take a couple seconds and do that, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do next. All right. So what are some of your strengths? Somebody, what's your strength, and how do we really know? How do you really know you have it? Yes, how about you?
Yeah. And
He said high EQ, and he knows he has it because he gets feedback, and he also knows he has it because he knows he has it. Correct? And that's good. You're supposed to believe in you. Somebody else, some of your strengths.
Not.
Problem solver. And how do you know you're a problem solver? So you've gotten good feedback around problem solving. How about you, ma'am? Miss, right here. Yes, yes. You can go next. Yes.
If I could say they go electric, I would.
How do we know? How do you know? How do you know?
And you know, I can be the tasty with one of
think
or building them out, talking about their tasting or what they wanted to grab.
So, A, you believe you have a great team. B, some of the evidence is people talk, people share. So you've got experience being great at customer service, and then you have some tools. So as we think about what we know about our strengths, there's a theme here, and one of the themes is feedback. It is important to get feedback, and not just feedback from your mother who's going to tell you you're wonderful. I mean, feedback from real people who are going to tell you where you're wonderful and where you have room for improvement. Now, I was reading this book on the plane on the way here. It's by Kouzes and Posner, and it's called Everyday People, Extraordinary Results. It's about leadership from all over the organization. And one of the things that they said about feedback is, don't just ask people, can you give me some feedback? That it's better to be specific and to say, I am working on my listening skills. How can I make you feel more heard? What are the things that I can do to improve in that area? What they said is that when we just ask for general vague feedback, that's what people give us, a whole lot of nothing. So if we truly want feedback, we've got to be specific and ask for specific information. But they said something else about feedback. They said, don't ask for it if you're not going to use it. Don't ask for it just to make people feel like, oh, I'm hearing from you. Because people spot insincerity. We can all spot insincerity. So when we're asking for feedback, we need to ask people who are going to tell us the truth. And then we need to ask it in a way that elicits real information. And then we have to make a commitment to using at least some of the information. I want to talk a little bit more about feedback. I don't believe all feedback is valuable. I believe that we have to be selective. So let me tell you what I mean. Someone whose values don't align with yours, whose behavior you don't respect, probably not a person you want to get feedback from, okay? Probably not. And I'm not saying that you can't learn from that person, but I'm saying that feedback is most valuable when it comes from respectable, credible sources. Respectable, credible sources. I have a good friend who, I got a little extra, but she got a lot extra. And she's always trying to give me advice on losing weight. And I also want to say, get to a size 12 and then tell me what to do, okay? Because she's just not credible with that. She just isn't. Lovely woman, but come on. So the feedback giver has to be credible. They have to have some evidence of their success in that area. So I want to move deeper into this notion of leadership excellence. You have on your handout the 5 C's of leadership excellence. I'm going to walk through them and I'm going to stop at number 3. Okay, so the first one is caring. If we are demonstrating excellence in leadership, we genuinely care about the people that we encounter. We recognize the fact that each member of our team is an individual human being, a special creation, just like us. And we care about their success in the work. We care about their performance, but we also care about them as a parent, as a sibling, as a friend, as a person who may be experiencing some physical problem, as somebody who is differently abled, but we genuinely care about them. You can't care about people that you don't know. So what that means is that as a leader, I also have to be building relational bridges with people. Now I want to stop here for a minute. Sometimes people think that we need to be besties at work. We don't. We don't. You should have some real friends outside of work, and you shouldn't be soliciting so many friends at work in a leadership role. I'm not saying you can't be friendly. I'm not saying you can't be cordial. But what I am saying is that you need to get comfortable establishing boundaries. Establishing boundaries. My friend over here was talking about being concerned about what people think. Well, all right, that's what they think. You know, that's what they think. They think that. But we don't have to be cultivating these deep friendships. If they emerge, that's fine. But as a leader, I believe that we have to establish boundaries. And when the boundaries get blurred, it becomes difficult for people to follow because they say, well, that's my girl. You know, I'll do that later. You know what? It's okay if I don't get that done because we're going drinking today. We're going to the park tomorrow. No. We want to have boundaries. So yes, we want to care about the individual human being. And even in that caring, we need to have boundaries. Next of the 5 C's is commitment. I believe that commitment happens. Well, first let's talk about the types of commitment. There are these people, Meyer and Allen, and they talk about something called affective commitment. And that is when my heart is in it. I'm doing it because I really want to do it. And they also talk about normative commitment. I'm doing it out of a sense of kind of duty or obligation, but I don't necessarily want to do it. But what we want in the workplace as much as possible is people who have an affective commitment, who are here because they really want to be in a neurologist's office, because they really want to be where they are in the healthcare equation. So as leaders, what we want to do is to spark that affective commitment. So how do we do that? Well, one of the ways that we do that is by reminding people how important their role is, by reminding people of how their role feeds the entire system. So yeah, at the spine practice, the spine guy, the surgeon, yeah, he's important. Very, 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 very important. Wouldn't want a surgical office without a surgeon. But the PA is who I had to see regularly. So she's very important too. But that young woman, Sophia, who checks me in, she's real important because she's the first face I see. She's real important because when I call, I actually do like to talk to Sophia more than the other ones, because she's really pleasant. She's really upbeat. She remembers quirky things about me, and there's a lot of quirky things about me, but she remembers them. She remembers my partner's name. So she's the front line, and she matters. And if you are leading her, you need to make sure that she knows she matters. The young people who come in, and, check your blood pressure and do all that stuff, they matter because they can make a world of difference. If they come in with a snotty attitude, my blood pressure goes up because I know it's not polite to cuss them out. So I know my blood pressure goes way up. But if they come in pleasant, my blood pressure is down. So we've got to think about how we can inspire that affective commitment, making people really want to be there. And do I have that affective commitment? Or am I just a job Joe where this is paying my mortgage, it's putting my kids through school, and that's enough? Because that shows up too. So what level of commitment am I demonstrating? What level of commitment am I demonstrating? Sometimes we get confused and think that coaching is corrective. And we forget that some of the most effective coaching affirms what people do right. So if we are leaders, we need to understand that you got to catch people doing things right and coach them on that. Celebrate the fact that they did things right, because what you focus on is what you're going to get more of. And if you want them to be attuned to what you're saying, when you have to do corrective coaching, you have to have a track record with them of some affirmations, okay? Now, sometimes people will say to me, well, Joanne, what if they haven't been doing anything right? Well, you need to get a mirror because you're part of that problem. If they haven't been doing anything right, you are part of that problem. I think that 9 out of 10 people in the workplace want to do a good job. I think 9 out of course, there's got to be one lemon everywhere, but 9 out of 10 people want to do a good job. As a leader, it's our responsibility to help them do a good job. And that comes from coaching, from catching them doing things right, celebrating what they did right, and then when they mess up, because sure, we're human, we're going to mess up, thinking about the way that I deliver the information. So when I have the coaching conversation, it's very important for me to demonstrate that caring we talked about earlier, but to also deliver some candor, to get to the point about what it is I need to see change, what it is we need to see change. And yes, we tell them what we need to see change, but we also need to tell them why. Why is it improving this performance, improving this behavior, improving this disposition is going to make a difference? Okay, why is that? We've got to have that conversation. It's not sufficient to go in and say, I've noticed you making a mess of the charts, and I want you to stop that. No, you got to explain, A, let me show you the evidence I have that you have been doing this, and then how do I want it to change? Why do I want it to change? And clear expectations of changed performance. But it can't stop there. There has to be follow-up. There has to be follow-up, because if there's no follow-up, what's going to happen? Nothing. Absolutely, positively nothing, if there's no follow-up. The other thing that happens with coaching is, like many of us, we can revert very easily. We can go back. So it's important for us to be monitoring performance, to be having ongoing conversations about performance, to be providing examples and support for the behavior that we want to change. That is really important. We can't expect overnight miracles. Can't expect that. Like I joke about being in the beginners pickleball for 3 years. Well, I am slow on the development in that. And I'm very grateful that the person who is our pickleball coach, he's this crusty old dude named Charles Brown, and he's very patient with my development. He's very patient with the fact that I was never an athlete. My parents said, go read a book. Well, I came from a go read a book family. Sometimes go ride your bike, but go read a book was the go-to in my family. So he and I were talking about that because I think he was trying to explore, why can't she hit a ball? Like, what is the problem? And then why does she get nervous when the ball's coming at her instead of using her paddle? And he says, well, what did you play? You're tall. Did you play basketball? I said, no. He said, well, what did you play? I said, I read books. Well, parents said, go read a book. And he's like, okay, I guess that was good, but now we got to develop your athleticism. So how can we do that? And he's been really good about giving me examples of things that I can do, and really good about finding ways to praise. So when I first started, I truly couldn't hit a ball. So you know how somebody's doing a drill and somebody has to be out there retrieving the balls? I was a retriever a lot. One day after practice, he comes over to me, puts his arm around me, and he says, do you know you do that retrieving better than anybody else here? And I know that sounds silly, but it made me feel so good. I left feeling like there is something I do better than anybody else in the gym. There's something I do that I accomplish. So we have to find small things, because small things make a difference. They really do. And if we can find ways as coaches to encourage people, to encourage them, not to tear them down, real important. Think about, from your own perspective, who's made you feel good? What bosses or supervisors or peers have you had that made you feel good? Reflect on that and then pass it along to the people that you're leading. I'm going to move ahead just a little bit here. We've got to have the candid communication, be willing to tell the truth with love. I mean, I believe that we deliver candor with love, but we have to deliver the candor. And then there has to be a level of comfort with discomfort. How many of us get a little squeamish when we think we're going to be in a conflict situation? Any of us? A lot of us get a little squeamish. Why do you get squeamish? Why do you get squeamish? It may hurt. Somebody else, why do you get squeamish? Yes. Taking on the burden of making the other person uncomfortable. Somebody else, why do you get squeamish? Anybody else? Why do you get squeamish?
Why?
You don't like to fail?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You don't know how they're going to react. Yeah, and the people who have we know who have volatile personalities. Yeah. Well, here's the reframe about conflict. The reframe is that conflict is a gift that enables us to improve. Conflict is a gift that enables other people to improve. There is healthy conflict when we can express what we're feeling and invite the other person to express what they're feeling. Because the reality of life is we can be in the same room at the same time having a totally different experience. We can be in the same workplace, in the same office, at the same time having a totally different experience. Think about it. The neuro guy, the neurosurgeon, his experience of the workplace making that high six-figure salary is real different from the experience of the young woman, Sophia, who's checking me in. His experience of life is different from hers. So when we begin thinking about conflict, we do have to honor the fact that there are other experiences. The other thing to remember is we can't grow unless we have some conflict. Like, we can't grow. The organization can't grow. When we're in places where everyone agrees, somebody is disagreeing silently. So we need to create the kind of environment where people can agree orally, where people can say what they feel in a respectful manner. I believe that we can disagree without being disagreeable. I also believe that it's our responsibility as leaders to model that and to not run from the conflict because it doesn't go anywhere. All it does is fester and get worse and worse and worse and worse. I work with a lot of organizations and work with them on retention, on how do we get and keep good people. I'm talking about healthy retention, okay? And one of the observations that I have is in many organizations where we're experiencing a lot of churn, it's because we don't deal with the issues. It's because we ignore the conflicts. It's because we put things kind of in a closet that need to be brought to light. So as you think about your leadership role, it is important that you be comfortable with conflict and that you're able to have those candid, difficult conversations. A little bit more on those candid conversations. They're not always going to go well. Sometimes they're going to go poorly. And you're going to have to circle back around and try it again. And that's okay. Because like the caterpillar, we're constantly on the journey. And like the caterpillar, you'll remember the part where it said it got real tight and he had to burst out of his shell. Well, that's what our growth is like. There will be times where we're real tight and have to burst out of our shells. So think about that when it gets really uncomfortable. Going to move forward just a little bit. We're going to spend some time on your beliefs about the self, because your beliefs about the self determine whether or not you can have those candid conversations, whether or not you're comfortable coaching, whether or not you're really in a growth track. Just take a second and write down, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about others? And what do you believe about your organization? What do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about your others? And what do you believe about your organization? All right, very quickly, somebody, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? Yes. Yes, you. You just turned around and looked at me. I'm talking to you. What do you believe about yourself? Determined and curious. What do you believe about yourself? Yes, in the lavender jacket. So you believe that the lack of self-confidence in you makes you overestimate the self-confidence or the confidence in others. Okay. Okay. How about you? What do you believe about yourself? A reliable team player that's goal-oriented. What you believe about yourself impacts your leadership brand. So, what's a brand? It is the reputation that you have established for yourself. It's the reputation that you've established. Now, sometimes people will say to me, well, I don't have a leadership brand. Yeah, you do. You just don't know what it is. You might not have put any thought into it, but trust and believe you have a leadership brand. You have the opportunity to cultivate the brand that you want through your leadership development. So we're going to flip your handout over and spend a little time on this leadership brand.
Yeah.
There are some things that we have to understand about the brand. We need to make sure that we, clarify it, okay? And how do we clarify it? What is it you're known for? And what is it you want to be known for? What are you known for? What do you want to be known for? Okay? That gap is the opportunity for brand building. And once we know what that gap is, we are able to begin cultivating a leadership brand. Now, everybody should have gotten some cards on your table. Everybody got little, what do you call these? The kids' cards. Flashcards. I couldn't even remember that to save my life. Okay, so pick up a flashcard. Everybody pick up a flashcard and then stand up. Pick up a flashcard and then stand up. If you ran short on flashcards at your table, somebody at another table has too many. So everybody pick up a flashcard and then stand up. You'll need one flashcard and you need two more. If you have extras at your table, will you share them, please? Extra flashcards? Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. All right, everybody has a flashcard now? Nope? You still need a flashcard? We need one more flashcard. Anybody have an extra flashcard? You got one? All right. Well, we're sending it over.
Thanks for coming again. I appreciate that.
Thank you. All right. So, reflecting on your leadership brand. Can I borrow your flashcard? Reflecting on your leadership brand. She has this flashcard. On one side it says 7 plus 5, and on the other side it says 2 plus 5. You're going to pick whatever side you want to pick. If you have an addition flashcard, what I want you to talk to your partner about is how many things you need to add to your brand. So I would pick this side with the 2 plus the 5. So you're going to identify 7 things that you want to add to enhance your brand. Okay? 7 things that you want to, I know, but if you can't get to the number, just get wherever you go. Now, who's got a subtraction one? May I borrow that? So now, if you happen to have a subtraction one, here's what you're going to do. You're going to identify 4 things that you need to subtract from your brand, okay? What are 4 behaviors that you know you need to let go of? All right? You're going to pick a partner. You're going to do as many of the numbers as you can. I know there's some high numbers out there. And I'm going to give you about 3 or 4 minutes, okay? Thinking about your brand. So this was to get you thinking about your brand, just in case you haven't thought about your brand. I want to go a little bit deeper on this whole brand thing. There are things that you need to add to your brand, new skills, new competencies, new behaviors. And there are things that you need to subtract. There are things that you know that you're doing that aren't getting you the greatest results in the world. 5 steps to brand building. The first one is to clarify your individuality. We are not all the same. Who would want us to all be the same? That wouldn't be very much fun. It wouldn't be very interesting at all. So you've got to clarify your individuality. So as you begin thinking about things you need to add to your brand, one of the things that you might need to add is some clarity about who I am. Next thing is we need to clarify our messages. What is my message to the world? What is my message to my workplace? So that's the second step in brand building, to really have clarity on what is my message. Is my message one of joy, of peace, of supporting other people, or am I angry? Do I have an angry message? Do I have a defensive message? What is my message to the world? Next thing we need to clarify is, what do I contribute? Everybody contributes something in the world. What do you contribute? So you contribute your wonderful personality. What do you contribute? You contribute kindness. What do you contribute? Leadership, but you also contribute humor, because you've been making me laugh since I've been here. So, but we all have to think about, what is my unique contribution to this world? That's a big piece of my brand. That is a big, big, big piece of my brand. So it requires some reflection to figure out what's my contribution. You also have to think about your image. What is the image that you are presenting in the workplace? I often say that there is a step between wash and wear, and it's called iron, okay? So what I look like in the workplace makes a big difference. What is the image that I am presenting in the workplace and in the world? And then the next thing to building our brand is clarifying our connections. Who knows me? Who do I need to know? Who do I want to know? Who do I want to know me? So having clarity on our connections. Brand building is an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. Everyone here has a little note card and a little envelope. Everybody should have one of these, different colors. What I'd like for you to write on that note is, what do you intend to do with the information that you gathered from our time together? That is your developmental intention. That is your developmental intention. What I would like for you to do is to pick a date and write it on there where you are going to open your note to self and check in on how you have done with your developmental intention. That developmental intention is important because it helps you to think about where you're going. See, as leaders, we're always on this path to excellence. It's a constant journey. We're always going somewhere.
The trick is being intentional about the where we're going. And that note to self will help you to be more intentional.
Thank you. Thank you all.